All right, everybody. It is Awestruck Comics Podcast. Welcome. News of the week. Uh, look for us on all socials, Instagram, YouTube's. Of course, we're on YouTube's right now. Instantgram for me, Idiosyncratic Pulp. I'm going to try and pop some things in, some rarities this week. Rob, how was your week, sir? How was everything
Week
going?
week has been busy. I try to make room for the comics, after work and family. So it's been busy. It's been busy.
Yeah, you just got to get some family, older, get them out of there. I have plenty of time.
Yes,
So,
I'm not looking forward to the empty nest syndrome,
yeah,
whatever. I'm good.
it's it still causes a lot of anxiety for me regardless, which is awesome. So, but let's get into the news. We're going to try and hopefully everything here is going to work well. I experimented a little bit yesterday. Let me see if I can get this right. And let me move us over and resize us a little bit. See if that will be good. Alrighty. All right, that should be it. Okay, so I keep seeing this. So of course, yeah, let me hide the sidebar. I can actually cut this out. I don't know how to cut this out. Okay,
All right.
so this week, of course, we have to always start with our favorite person, right? James Gunn.
We do enjoy his work.
Is there anything, so I saw this on a few places. So James Gunn Superman first teaser is confirmed to be releasing before December 25th. It's a pre-Christmas gift since Warner Brothers is taking hold of an event. Monday. What's Monday's date? Tomorrow.
The 16th.
Hmm. That seems early, though. I think maybe, I don't know. It might seem too early.
Too early for a
Nine
trailer?
days. 9 days they're going to do it. Well, they're saying like a pre-Christmas gift is still 9 days. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But I always have to list it. Would you, I mean, we would all be okay if this is okay. If this is
No,
okay.
you know what? The sooner the better. Give it to us. Give us your visuals. Let us know what you have planned.
Yeah, because I want to see the visuals. I want to see the color grading. I want to see however it's going to be. I
I
don't
want
know.
I want to start looking forward to it. Like
Right.
we've been looking forward to it, but I want to look forward to it more.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And what's the date on this? June?
July 11th.
Okay.
I think he chose his father's birthday, if I'm
Yeah,
correct.
I think it just fell on that day, and then he realized that it was, so that's fine. Well, he can. I mean, like it's up to me, but like that's okay, no problem, James. And that's a good idea. Yeah, I want to see something. There was other set photos of the guy Gardner, and I just don't know how goofy that scene's going to be. I'm just a little scared of it.
But it's not a lot of it. Like he's like, this isn't an ensemble movie. This is a Superman movie. So we're not getting, from the if you look at the pictures we've seen, it's like, oh, it's just like every scene's got to have a different character, and I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just happened to be those are the pictures we're getting.
And we don't know his run times are what. I think Guardians one was I think two, and then 220, two something. It's always two something. I think I want to say that Guardians three is two something,
Listen,
220.
you're introducing a whole world, so I don't mind it. And if anything, he's always entertaining. So if he does give us a 2 hour, 220 movie, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be filled with enough stuff to keep us entertained.
Okay, we'll see. Um, all right, where are we? Next up. So they only put a couple bits of solicitation out. I just thought this cover was fantastic. I am curious, and I do like that we're getting all these different costumes every issue, basically,
Yeah.
throughout the storyline. So this is Marches, and we'll get into reviews this week on what went on. I'm a little confused on the numbering of what's happening with this thing. They're doing what did they do a couple years ago? Where they did the point something. It's really odd. They just have like an
Yeah.
extra issue or a point one or a point D, like whatever the event was, they would put like point whatever the event was, the
Right.
initials.
30.1 or 30.2. And it's a way to squeeze out an extra issue in between. Typically a lower, other people who are doing it are typically lower paid. So you actually save a little bit of money. Everyone who collects the book monthly will want that point one. It's a smart move, but unnecessary. But some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah, this week's was good though. We'll talk about it later, but this week's I thought was actually really good and not Joe Kelly. Your second
Right.
issue in, you're off. I don't understand. Second, third issue. It should be
That was
his third issue, and then he's off, or
it actually
he's.
it actually was a surprise because I didn't know that
I didn't
writer
know.
or that artist. but it
That
fit perfectly
ends up
in the
being really
story.
good. So I
Yeah,
can't. It's I normally would complain when you know it's a direct. The point ones I remember back then were not very good. So I didn't understand this story. I read it twice. He doesn't. So this is Bob Layton, famed Iron Man artist, who is somewhat. Is he the black? Is he Republican? Is he kicked off basically?
I don't know. I never heard that.
I think so. I thought he had trouble booking cons here. That's why he was over in Korea and did a bunch of cons over there. So, but I don't really remember seeing anything of him being very controversial. But he was kicked off Facebook, any Meta, any whatever. So he started a new Instagram, but I couldn't really tell, and it wasn't really. No one could really determine because no one's. I guess I don't know how they get into that like deleted stuff or deleted account stuff. Some people find that deleted tweets and all that stuff. I'm not really sure how people get into that. It's on the dark webs, I suppose. But he doesn't really remember saying anything wackadoo that he's off that. So
I don't know.
we'll see.
I didn't hear that story. You shouldn't be kicked off Facebook for your. You shouldn't be canceled for your political leanings. That's just your personal opinion. It's just when you say things that are hateful, or that's when people get upset,
Right.
or at least that's when they should get upset. So I don't know what he said. It's interesting. Bob Layton's an interesting character. Obviously, a phenomenal artist, inker. You know,
Seems like a giant too. Every time I see him with somebody, it seems like I don't know if he's Jim Shooter tall, but so we'll see. Yeah, I'm curious. We'll have update that. So, Dynamite's launching Vampirella again, which is good because I think in a lot of times I'm lost on where to potentially start. So I think this is a pretty good move here. This was the best cover I think of all of them. I think that was
that's neat.
Norn
So Christopher
Lorenz.
Priest is going to continue writing it. Christopher Priest did that Superman story last year that people loved.
Superman Lost, yeah,
Superman Lost.
with
That was a
Carlos
really good story.
Paoli and which I would like if McFarlane can do a figure of that figure with the white costume. That's a pretty amazing white costume. He basically had a battery. It was a solar power costume essentially. He had this white, which would just absorb the sun as he was going out in the universe, or trying to get
which
home.
which
Right.
which is the opposite of what white actually does, because white reflects sunlight, black absorbs it. But to each.
Well, we already have
Science.
a lot of black costumes, so we don't want any more of this. So that's okay.
That's cool. So
Um,
one of the cool things about Christopher Priest's run on Vampirella, I haven't really been reading it, but I am a fan of Christopher Priest, formerly the Jim Owsley. I never understood why the name change.
I think it was
Um,
a religion thing. I'll put it over there.
so
I
he
think
could be
so.
a priest. Are you saying that because his last name's Priest, or
I
do you
don't
think that's
know.
a real
I
reason?
really think that's the real reason. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the real reason. So
Um, but at least he got to do, I guess when they did he got to do the Vampirella 666, which is a fun satanic number. I guess they'd added up all of the ongoing series over the years since the Harris magazines of the 70s.
yeah, and they're doing that. So it does say in here, storyline marks a dual legacy numbering, which I'm a big fan of,
Yes,
which is good. So so this will be 676. So we're 10 issues after that 666. I don't remember. You did read that 666, or you just kind of
I glanced at it.
perused it? What do we
Well,
should call that something?
yeah, when you glance at something,
Yeah.
yeah, you should, because we are glancers. Like we like Dynamite. We're obviously bigger fans of we're fans of Nick Barucci now.
Mhm.
We weren't before, which is funny. Like I guess we had friends that worked for him, and they never said anything. They never said anything bad about him. They just, I guess, didn't enjoy the work experience. But like, even if you're working at a comic place, like people's like, oh, it'd be so great to work at a comic store. It's still a job. You still have things to do. You still gotta move product. Like it's still
Right.
a job.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I think people went to work for him working at a comic company. This is Dynamic Forces, not his Dynamite Comics imprint. I don't know what they expected,
Mhm.
but you and I have real jobs. Mine more physical than yours more mental.
Right.
And both those jobs can break us, both
Mhm.
physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So they're jobs. It's what we do to get by, to provide. And yeah, I would love to work at a comic store, but I could not afford to work at a comic store.
Right. Right. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to like the what our families or family households need.
Right.
Period. You know.
But the point I'm trying to make to spiral back to is we like Nick Barucci. You got to know him. He's actually a really
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Everyone online who's professional who talks about him, they love him. So I tend to agree with the people who met him and professionals who agree with him than disgruntled employees.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing from a character perspective, and I always see, I can't say a bad word about him because I don't understand. I went through, a year-long divorce proceeding essentially, and I feel like every day, like we would basically talk every day as we do, which is the reason for this podcast. We pretty much, a lot of times we'll just kind of delve into this, escape from all the stuff, and then we talk a little bit about the divorcey stuff. But I feel like every time I had like a really bad day, and if I just wanted to be quiet, sometimes you see me, I black out. I mean something's going on, or I'm just like, can't deal. He would just, I don't know how he would know. He would just be like, "Hey, buddy, doing okay?" Like, I just don't know how. And I even when we went out after, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we were talking, and I said, "How did you know? Did you have like a?" I even told you, I was like, "Do you have like a alarm on your phone with like everyone in your Rolodex? Like, let me check on Garth Ennis this week. Let me check on like what
Yeah.
am I doing in there? You know what I mean? Like, don't you're thinking about me? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not creatively working for you in any fashion. We know each other somewhat peripherally. I was I don't know. So, but yeah, really, really fascinating there. And then I think there was something a year or two ago when someone was complaining about something, and I think it ended up backfiring on them. They said he didn't get paid, or there was something backwards on it, and everyone went to Nick's defense, and then it ended up being wrong anyway. The person complaining had wrong details on
Right.
the contract. Way to go. So
Yeah.
be careful.
When you had brought up to him like, hey, me and Rob are thinking about doing a podcast, he was the first to be like, let me know. I will broadcast you out.
Yeah,
I'll
right,
hump you up,
exactly.
hype
So
yous.
I'm trying to get a little better before I cash in that. We're trying to get
I
a little
I agree
a
100%.
little bit better.
We
We
have
don't want to blow that
friends.
opportunity.
We have
So
friends, and we have people who are willing to be interviewed, and we just want to get better. We want to sound better. We want to look better.
yeah,
We
yeah.
also want to be healthier. I'm feeling a little bit of that cold this week.
Oh God, yeah,
I know it's going around.
yeah, yeah, really bad. Like the
There's,
drones. Hey everyone, we're in New Jersey.
oh
We
yeah,
may we may be under major attacks. There was lots of scary stuff. You can check the YouTubes and stuff. Is it national news right now
it
or
is national news. It's
yeah?
international news. People in other countries are talking about the drones over New Jersey.
The drones over Stratford and Voorhees and
Well,
Bergen County had a lot this week too. I saw
I've
that.
I have several friends who have seen them. I thought I saw one from a
Oh, I
distance,
seen.
but
I got
did you?
some. I got some film of it. Yeah, my backyard's super clear. I'm kind of in the middle of without to see all the air, like all the lights around. So I'm
Right.
kind of in the middle. So I just go out the middle of my backyard. I got a couple of videos I can send you there. That is not a plane. That is
It's
not a
it's
plane.
crazy. My one uncle, he's like, yeah, these are like real hardcore drones. He goes, these are SUV size. He goes, they're bigger than cars. He
Right.
goes the
They're
and
14 feet long sometimes. Yeah.
he thinks there's jamming frequencies in them because I think other people with their small drones are trying to go up to see them, and they're getting jammed. They're not getting good video of them up close.
That's so crazy.
I
That's
know.
so crazy. Yeah, but I mean, listen, we're also in South Jersey where there's a lot of crackpot conspiracy people. We're, so that's also where we get discounted. Like, oh, it's just that Jersey crazy conspiratorial
Oh
crackpot
yeah,
person.
yeah. The
So
minute I say an uncle, they'll go, "Oh, it's a crazy
that's your
uncle." No,
crazy
it's a
uncle. It's
guy
your
who
crazy white trash uncle
he
from
knows.
South
Yeah,
Jersey.
he both has an
So
engineer. He both has an engineering degree and a nursing degree. Like,
yeah,
and
so
he knows his drones.
he's an educated conspiratorial crackpot, is what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
So no problem. Yeah, but
No
yeah,
problem.
so all right, so this news, I'm okay. So this news got a little bit better. So this, I don't know if this is the big news. There was a rumor earlier in the week that Bleeding Cool that Richard put out. Rich Johnson said tomorrow is a big announcement. This was the
Big news
announcement
from
the next
Marvel.
day, but I don't know if this is the big news. The only thing that's excited me about this, and I hope they give him a little bit of time, and I just wonder. Is John Romita Jr. exclusive? Yeah, usually because usually he wants
Usually,
insurance and all that stuff. Or
yeah, he's an older gentleman now, so he needs the insurance.
but his stuff has been mixed over the last few years. I'd say better than not more
Also,
better than not better.
if Richard Bleeding Cool was saying it's big news because Godzilla is big, as in a large creature, go to hell.
Well, no, I know, but he put
Yeah,
an update and
and
he put an up. I went back to the story and he put an update and just kind of like, oh, okay, nothing happened. So this is not technically that.
this is not
Um,
that news.
no, the only thing, and we talked about this on the phone, and now I'm a little more confused, is because I said to you, I said, I'm pretty sure that I don't want this because it's going to be the legendary. But guess what? this is not the Legendary because this is with Toho. I think DC's with Legendary
Right.
because DC is just like Godzilla versus Kong. I thought when this was announced, it stated uh, that it was going to be. I just figured it was going to be Legendary, but it says a couple things. Godzilla
It's
takes from the Marvel Universe across the eras.
I kind of knew it was going to be Toho. I didn't know no, but I just know that Legendary has always had a they've always worked with Warner Brothers. They've been connected through multiple movies and comics.
So
So
this
I
is
kind of
because
knew
this is
this
not.
was not going to be Legendary.
Yeah, because that's not a Legendary Godzilla.
Correct.
That's a Toho. Hmm. I'm not super sure if that's a 99. It's not,
But
yeah, it's not a Millennium, but it's the end of a Toho.
first
No,
off,
no, that's actually a Millennium.
getting
That's a
a
Millennium
Lino U cover
Godzilla.
is gorgeous. I love Francis Lino
Yeah,
U.
that's really good. Oh, let me go back. Yeah, so this is really solid. This was the best. There's no high res on this. So I went to four sites. That's as high as we got.
We'll get
Awesome.
it.
Yeah, I'll paste if I can find one, I'll paste a bigger one. But the biggest thing here, the reason it's a John Romita Jr. by Ryan North and John Romita Jr. Doesn't say how many issues it is, I don't believe. Summer. Uh okay, beginning a series of one shots, Fantastic Four during the kind of 60s. That's kind of funny. Just like the Fantastic Four movie. So there you're gonna have, I guess, 54 to 60, 63 Godzilla. So that's what I want. We talked about a couple different Godzilla stories over different episodes. Um,
It's a shame we don't have, as far as I know, any of the Marvel 70s artists who worked on the Godzilla comic around anymore. Like, I would love to have gotten a Herb Trimpe or Dave Cockrum,
right, right.
a new take on Godzilla. That would have been really fun.
They're probably going to have the alternate, like the hidden gem variants, which I think are kind of it's a cheap shot. I don't
Hey,
know. I think
you know what I
that's
wonder? If any of Godzilla number one, the 70s Godzilla, had a traditional Godzilla face rather than the Marvel Godzilla face. Like, did they start to draw it
right, 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 right. That
in the
yeah,
Toho style before they, I
and
don't know,
then
ran into
Toho
some
said
sort of,
no.
yeah.
Right. I don't know. Is there any way? We've talked about this before, where was it Atlas? Atlas was contracted by.
Atlas tried to get the license for Godzilla first, correct?
Mhm.
And they got Walt Simonson to draw at least 20 pages of a Godzilla comic that are lost in the mail somewhere, which means they're in someone's collection or they're thrown away.
Right, right. They've
It's
never
tragic.
resurfaced, but yeah, if that could be a lost issue somewhere, yes, please. So don't
Please.
know. So this is exciting, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is the JRJR concept of C. I want to see, but like I don't know where that is. It says Godzilla. Like, is that the mini series or series of one shots? Is that the Fantastic Four? I mean, he could do because he has done that before. They got like he did a Fantastic Four Lost Adventure with a Stan Lee outline.
Yeah, that was really good.
Um,
That had
so
Martin Hollowell colors, made it look right, made
I
that
think
book
that's
really
right.
pop.
Yeah,
That's a really good
I
looking book.
guess I don't know. Uh, hmm. Oh, I know I want to draw it. Well, I want the person who drew Dawn Runner, but again, that's uh, Evan Cagle. So the Dawn Runner, which should be on your list, maybe Christmas break. You can read that, and we could do like a spotlight on that because I think it's almost like a pseudo sequel. It's a kaiju book of kaiju fighting robots, similar where they mentally kind of get into similar to Pacific Rim, where they can actually get into the actual electronics and like merge with the actual fighting robot to the kaiju. But there's a couple other twists in it. So that's Ram V. So that team is taking over New Gods, which is we got preview in. Talk about that later in
Okay.
reviews. So this I put on for you because I think this. Well, first off, this is an amazing Jay Lee cover. Jay Lee's kind of a Dynamite staple with good reason. This was, I mean, they had a lot of good covers, but they had a really good. I should have dropped that in. But did you see they're putting cards on this? The cards are going to come with. They're going to have it polybagged.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so that's really
Like
fun.
that's really legit neat. I've always enjoyed Mustax.
Yeah, so I want to, and I know that Dynamite's doing a couple things with trading cards. So with the Transformers trading cards coming out soon, so that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
I think that's
Trying to make trading cards happen again.
yeah, please. Yeah, I think that would be really fun. I have a lot of fun sets already. Jay Lee, Linsner, Greg Land. I don't know who this person is. Jay Stevens. I feel like there's a different Jay Stevens, not the same person.
Well, there's the cartoonist Jay Stevens, right? Isn't is that the guy doing Dwellings right now?
Is that the same one? That's what it says. Dwellings on here. Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah, then that's
um,
Jay Stevens.
is it?
He did
That's
a
interesting.
that Atomic City, Jay Stevens?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
I put it down there. Yeah, that's what I don't know. So that's why if that's the case. So I would say that that person, if it's the same person I'm thinking of, that's a light. That's almost like an ALLRED type of like lighter style. So
yes.
this will make it really
Well,
fun, I think.
until you read Dwellings.
Oh, I
Have
didn't
you
know.
read
What is that?
Dwellings?
No.
Dwellings is awesome. It's like a here's a bunch of Harvey type characters. It's told in a very Harvey Comics type of way,
Oh, you love that.
except it's rated
Wow.
R. It's like it's just violent
Hmm.
deaths, serial killers. So
That's interesting. I don't
it's
know
a
what that is.
oh yeah, check it out.
All right.
Jay
That's
Stevens.
on the
He's been
list.
around for a good 25, 30 years in comics that I
What's
know
that?
of.
Yeah, what's that coming through? What's Dwellings from? What was that published?
I feel like he's self-publishing it.
Huh. Interesting. This is your boy here.
This is both my boys.
This
Yeah.
cover is so exciting. I thought I pulled another cover of this, but I did not. But this is pretty cool. I have a couple extra pictures that I pulled for this too. So I guess he was in the fifth. He was in the fifth episode of season one of Invincible. He was in issue 19. He's been in a couple, I think 4 or 5 times in Invincible, but this is basically, I guess, somewhere in between because spoilers 55. He dies in 55. Doesn't really
Right.
matter. Who cares? Like, because again, but this is basically like this looks so much like a He-Man figure. It's crazy. I would
Yeah.
love.
I've always loved this character. When we had talked to Otley in Baltimore in October, he had said he was working on an Invincible book. And you'll like the writer. Well, no, he said he was working on a comic, a new comic for Image, and me and Brian were like, great, we'll look forward to this. He goes, and you'll like the writer, and of course we'll like the writer. It's Kirkman. You work with him numerous times.
Yeah, this
Um,
is. I wonder if he has time. I wonder if he has more time because I feel like these layouts are like nuts. Look at this. Oh my God.
yeah, he's bringing his all to this book. He's always liked this character, Battle Beast. It's so funny because Kirkman will just grab things sometimes, and Battle Beast is like first off the name is like the old Hasbro toys. Remember Battle Beast?
Yeah. I
They were
pulled
like
this. This
the
was in. Yeah, what was that? There was a toy called Battle Beast.
yeah, it was actually a Transformers line in Japan, but they brought them to America because they had rub symbols on their chest, and you rub
Hmm.
their symbols, and it would be like a, a log or water or fire. So it was kind of like a paper scissors rock, like
Hmm.
fire burns wood, water puts out fire,
Hmm.
and you would have your characters fight, but they were all half animals, half people.
I kind of look. Yeah, I'll put some down and I'll put that down below. It's in my brain somewhere, but it's not coming to the surface right now. So I found this trivia. I'm not sure how if this is vetted or not. Basically, Battle Beast based off of Mongol. I guess I could see that this is the design of the animated design, which I believe Brian Otley worked on as well. This might even be his outline, or Corey Walker. I mean,
Corey
it
Walker, maybe
looks
they both
yeah, because
they both do
they
work, but
both
Corey
work on the
Walker,
show. That looks more Corey Walker than Brian Otley. So this was the first appearance of him here, but it was literally was just a there was like 6 or 7 characters I want to say in this. So, uh, but well, that middle one looks so Larceny, right? That's so nuts.
yeah,
A lot of very very much.
the sharp
Um,
edges.
yeah, so this is pretty fun. But yeah, the trivia was like let's see, a member of the Coalition of Planets. We're seeing the second season. It looks like Battle Beast indicating they're the same species. Battle Beast confirmed return season 3. So yeah, so just to jump back, like look at that. That's so this is very exciting. This is kind of falling into that same, even though it's not a toy, it feels very much like in nostalgia for me as like almost like a He-Man miniseries.
There's
Remember Kirkman, which Kirkman did, right? He did for was that NBC Creations at the time? Who was
he did 4 Icons of Evil, a 4 issue miniseries,
awesome.
uh, with Master Universe characters, and they're really good. And I think some of them, one's drawn by like Tony Moore, one's drawn
Mhm.
by EJ Sue. So it's just a lineup of Kirkman regulars.
Yeah, that's fun. And what we've talked about recently on the phone is we really like that he has the stable of people that are just popping into these books. Jason Howard, EJ Sue had a variant on Transformers this week. So like there's remains very loyal to. I mean, look, they're putting out. Look at this work. Look at the cross hatching over there. That's crazy. So
Yeah. The other I think another character he homaged a little bit. I think Kirkman was a fan of Alan Moore Supreme Run, and there was a big lion alien bounty hunter in that called Bor M.
mhm.
Not a ripoff, but it is funny. Like I think Kirkman intentionally or unintentionally would use stuff from that. Like for instance, the fictional Superman comic book in the Supreme Universe was named Omni-Man.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of funny, you know. What's his Superman's character? What's Invincible's dad's name? It's Omni-Man.
Right. J.K. Simmons. It's J.K. Simmons.
Thank God,
Um,
because I can't imagine any other voice now for that character.
yeah, this is the next Universal Monsters. I don't know anything about this creator, Faith Aaron Hicks, but I thought this cover was really good. I think even just in general, like this makes me. I've only I think I only read the first issue of Frankenstein and it was confusing because it wasn't the Frankenstein story per se. It was like after the fact with the monster and it was confusing because the names weren't falling in where the names I thought were supposed to be what. But I don't really know. I think because I know less about the Mummy and I don't think the Mummy comes out like like this. Um, it seems pretty good. And Lee Lower is a great, but I'm not sure. I think I know who Faith Aaron Hicks is a bit. I think there's a lot of independent stuff that
Yeah,
she might have done.
I recognize the name, but I don't. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, so that might be something.
No research, people.
But I would
No
try to check
research.
this out, and then I would, maybe if this looks good, I would backfill. Like I want to backfill some Hayden Sherman stuff because I have seen bits and pieces of it. Now I'm losing my mind. So
Yeah.
this was interesting. This was just more numbers. I'm not going to read off the numbers, but I've sometimes have popped into GameStop not for games and like T-shirts or my wallets from from GameStop and just some of the fun stuff. I don't remember where I got this, but this is actually really fun because it's got a bunch of Japanese stuff writing on the side, snicked,
Neat.
snicked, and it's cold, and that's a Cockrum, I believe. Yeah, so that's really fun. Yeah, so that's interesting. But so I feel like that. So they're stating that they're finally making a profit on that stuff, or maybe they haven't made a profit for a bit. Lost money on operations. I mean, again, I would figure that they would have done really well, especially through the pandemic. But I think they've always been up and down. Plus, I think they also had that stock thing, which
Right.
was
Well,
kind of
we've come into the future where you pretty much download your games, and that's the way it's been for 5 years.
right, right.
But I mean, people are still going down for collectibles. They do have exclusives, like you can buy the game from us still
Exclusive.
get the download, still get special maybe steel books or toys or whatever
Right, right, right.
package deal they try to come up with to make you want to buy the collector's version of said games.
Yeah, I
Although,
saw I saw a video where someone it was like a security footage of a guy buying like his like PS5 or whatever, and he started crying. And then the clerk went around and hugged him. And I'm like, good, that's you know what I mean? Like that's
that's cool. I mean, PS5's been out for a couple of years now.
yeah. Whatever it was. I don't even know if it was a PS5. I just thought it was like, yeah, you like sometimes you work and save and then, I remember that as a kid,
Yeah,
saving, saving,
they're
saving.
not cheap, dude. Not cheap.
Yeah. Or what are they, 600, 700? I don't even know. This is so yeah, so the season three, this was is a little bit older news, but I cropped this picture. So yeah, season three trailer. But more so, I cropped it for the Alan Moore news. He
Yeah,
actually praised media adaptation of his work, which is not a thing. Uh, The Great When, his new fantasy novel.
right.
Is this out?
The
Is
first issue, I
this
believe, is out, and you can order an Alan Moore signed novel for $30 on Amazon. I don't know if it's still up, but that was the deal they had.
hmm,
So this is the only way you're probably going to get an Alan Moore signature unless you go to the town of Northampton in England, which I would love to do.
road trip?
I wish, dude.
Awestruck podcast road trip.
Yeah,
We just kind of hang out on the street waiting for him. You know what I
it's a
mean?
shame. We've met so many of the greats in comics, and
Mhm.
just thinking about the UK writers in general, like we've met everyone: Garth Ennis, Grant Morrison, Neil Gaiman, Mark Miller, Warren Ellis. I've met everyone except the original.
Right. Yeah, actually, I this cover is pretty interesting. Was that all different books? Are they books as the bridge?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's I
Are
think
you
it's
gonna? There's words in this. You're gonna read this? You could read books. I have a very hard
I
time reading
can.
books.
I want to. Finding the time to read a book takes away a lot of comic time.
Is there an audio version? Because you can do the audiobook of this. You know what I mean? You could do your Alan
Eventually,
Moore reading of the audiobook.
I might.
Are
I
we
know
allowed to
his.
do that? If you just read it and we just have it up online for free, I can demonetize the
Here's the
video.
thing. I I wish Alan Moore books were read by Alan Moore.
Yeah.
I think several of his books do have audio versions, but it's not him, and that's no fun. Like if you, I've listened to Alan Moore CDs in the past of some of his stage work or his musical CDs. They're really good, but
Hmm.
like you really enjoy listening to his voice. So
I,
maybe I'll try to do my Alan Moore impression and
Listen, we're gonna try to get you some extra money. Kathy, your wife wants to kill me all the time. I take up a lot of your time. So if I could be like, this led to this and this made this money. So
yeah,
so
if this thing, yeah, we
we'll get
don't.
that gig
By the
going.
way, we don't intend to make money, people. There, we don't. We have no
Wouldn't
false.
hurt. Yeah, wouldn't
It
wouldn't
would
hurt.
not hurt.
Would not
But
hurt. So this I thought I think this is okay. So this was a McFarlane's doing the Detective 27 cover. I think this is okay. But here's the thing, and it's $500,
oh, so it's less a
17 inches
toy.
tall.
It's more statue. Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
he did his Action Number One statue.
was $500.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
it look better than this? I think this looks
yes.
fine. What's funny about this looks as good as a diamond exclusive like figure that you would get in GameStop for $50, right? That's a $50
That's the problem. This is made.
plastic.
It's made higher end, but it's not a great drawing. Like this
It's,
is like it's an iconic cover. I get it, 100%. But at the same time, it's still Bob Kane, and Bob Kane was never a good comic artist.
are we sure it's Bob Kane?
Yeah, we're not sure.
Yeah, and to me, I don't really care about. So okay, so if you look at the detail of the, I guess, Thug's legs or whatever, isn't this weird that this is the first? Was it on purpose? Now that looking at this, I'm thinking about Amazing Fantasy 15 one or 15 rather, with him. I mean, he's swinging this way. That's a different pose, maybe a different arm, but it's still grabbing the guy. And there's two. Well, I guess what came first? Do you think that the Ditko drawing came first, and then Stanley's like, I don't like it, or whoever said no,
Yes,
and then they gave it to Jack, and then Jack drew it, and then Ditko inked it,
I think that's the way it went down.
and Steve Geppi has, I think it's a recreation. He has the Ditko cover of Amazing Fantasy 15.
Okay,
I've
the one that
seen it in
wasn't used.
person. Yeah, I don't know if it's real or he did like a recreation. I'm not really sure.
Ditko doesn't do recreations.
Well, maybe I guess it was original, which is crazy. But there was a lot of stuff
In
in
fact,
his
Ditko hadn't
in
drawn
there.
Spider-Man since
Yeah,
not
you're right.
since issue
You're
38
right.
or whatever, since he stopped drawing.
It's very fascinating. But yeah, so to me, this section here with a lot of the McFarlane stuff, this I put up for you. Look at this. Boom.
Look at
Well,
that, glow in the
this
dark
is
Captain
the
Carrot.
multiverse Captain Carrot, which was an Ivan Reyes design, I believe,
Yes, yes.
uh, which was in Multiversity.
Multiversity is a series that everyone should read. Well, Mark and I are we're gonna do a review on that one day. It's so good,
We could do
that
like eight
series.
reviews. We can do an issue each. You know what I mean? Because there's enough chunky stuff in there. I could do an
There's
issue each.
there's incredible. Grant Morrison writes them all, and he gets this who's who of creators, like especially the Frank Quitely issue. Yeah,
So Jim Lee
Cameron
issue.
Cameron Stewart drew an issue. Yeah, it's so good. The problem with Multiversity is it didn't hit as big as it should, and that's because the story was meant to come out pre 52.
Hmm.
So when it came out post 52, it kind of didn't have that same punch because it didn't feel like the universe you knew and loved. We were still exploring the new 52 and deciding whether or not we liked it. So the Multiversity came out and it just, you didn't feel the punch.
Yeah. So
Still, still great books. Great
yeah,
books.
I think Captain Carrot for both of us probably just because of when it came out. I've talked many times about Peter Porker being my gateway reversed. All the parodies of the Marvel universe I knew understood and then learned the new Marvel universe. Captain Carrot was a little bit different. This was archetype Justice League essentially. Captain Carrot being Superman, Fastback was Turtle. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a Wonder Woman character, so that's up. And they had a miniseries first, and then Captain Carrot as ongoing, or they
Could
had a
have,
Superman They had a Superman Captain Carrot. I think after, maybe it was
yeah,
after.
that's a blank spot for me.
But yeah, so that was Scott Shaw,
Scott Shaw,
Scott Shaw, right? So
who is still working in comics today.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure he makes some pretty good money doing sketches for Captain Carrot, but I do. But again, I think did I list what the price on this one was? $30, not bad. Okay,
No. And it's cool because it is glow in the dark. And I have a fascination with glow in the dark toys,
I know.
especially ones
Got
from
the
the
thumbs up.
80s. Yeah.
That's fun. I like thumbs up. This is, I think this is kind of fun. First off, I want to say this is a gold label. This is also 30 bucks. Okay. So again, this is pretty cool. So a cover recreation. Now, what's interesting is I have the Dark Knight Returns like stupid gigantic book, right?
Right.
There is no full drawing of Batman in this at all. So this is basically a decision to render what you believe is in the shadows, and that's fine. It doesn't look like it's not Frank Miller, right? It doesn't look, it does. I think all
Well,
it's
you did see the pencils to this, right?
yeah. I can. Well, I'll take a
No.
picture of it. I have it.
Okay. This
Yeah.
this was such a controversial move to publish those pencils because Mark and I grew up. Everyone who looked at this always felt the silhouette of Batman is his back,
Mhm.
but it's not because when Frank Miller showed the pencils recently, it's his front. This is a front picture of Batman, and we're like, what? And when you see the pencils, you're like, that is so weird. I always assumed it was his back.
He's jumping this way. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Not looking this way. Yeah. So it is interesting to see the pencils, but I don't think it
So
should have ever been revealed. I think it's like it's like Seal, like Seal's lyrics. Seal won't print his lyrics because he wants you to just interpret them the way you want to. Kiss from a
okay.
Rose.
So I wonder if this toy can be posed both ways.
I don't know. 30
That would
bucks.
be $30.
I
Find
also
out.
don't know with $30. It doesn't say this is a page puncher, so I'm not sure if that's just a backdrop or that's an actual issue. So they've done different versions of it. Strangely enough, a couple years ago, and just because it was cheap, it was someone had it really inexpensive. They had the Dark Knight Returns mask, which was old man Bruce Wayne mask.
Okay.
And my second ex-wife took it. It was in this house. I had it on the wall. You just, or maybe she threw it out. But there was a lot of stuff that I figured she would just steal, and she didn't. But now she has that, and she's just sitting around with this like Frank Miller piece. I don't understand. Why did you take that? Because I'm never going to really buy that again. Eh, I don't know. But yeah, it looks very similar to this face, but it's like it's a full thing. But that package was the mask. If you remember, DC did this for a couple of years. They did a Joker, the gross Capullo Joker mask.
Oh yeah,
But it
yeah.
came with an issue. It came with I think it just came with a smaller size. This one came with a Dark Knight Returns one, which is actually not called Batman or the Dark Knight because it's called what? Just Dark Knight, right? Technically in continuity in publishing, this is just Dark Knight. So,
Right.
but this is 30. Okay. All right. All right. A couple different hands. That's not too bad. I've been complaining about this. I'll have to put in a bigger picture of this, but did you see this? So this is a page puncher. I think this is 25. But this is the Superman 78. Um, Leandro, I forget. I'll have to put who that up is.
That's it's a neat idea. You know what? Every comic good drawing should be exploited. And this is it's a smart idea. Go through everything McFarlane. This is McFarlane,
Yeah,
I assume.
but usually the page puncher. That's why it's confusing because this here has the 78 picture with the action figure, but I feel that the page punchers usually are exclusive. I have a page puncher Batman, Barbarian Batman, and the Barbarian Batman itself was that issue of that Barbarian Batman was exclusive to this. That's kind of the point of those. So I didn't put the price on this. I'll have to double check that, but I did like it. I thought it was pretty cool. I think that looks really good. I like
That
the
looks
the
really cool.
accents here. The accents are
Yeah.
more subtle. I feel like the 90s ones that McFarlane's been doing has been a little over rendered. This is also kind of shadowed, which is pretty cool too. So the light, yeah, it literally has like a light source coming against it. So I
Yeah.
think that's pretty neat. And what are all the hands about? Is that necessary? I don't care. I'm never going to change it. I'm never changing those hands. Maybe once, but
Maybe.
look, there's
You
a
know,
lot.
you just gotta find the best hands.
That's just a lot. 8 hands.
Eight hands. It's many hands. That's
Make it
the
many
Neil Adams.
hands.
That's the Neil Adams inking crew.
Yep, or diverse hands. This one I put up only because I think it's pretty cool that they still have this card, the card backs here, versus like this. So this is all like impossible to get out. You're almost cutting the comic book. You're almost breaking the
Yeah.
comic book that's in there. Where this is literally that style of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon card backs. I think these are really
Yeah.
good looking on shelf. I think they look really cool. And this is my favorite. It's not my favorite Venom. It's my favorite. What it would do. It's not really a variant because it's not. It's I guess off. I don't know. So Agent Venom was Flash Thompson, where Flash Thompson in Brand New Day was in war and his legs were cut off.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
He
and they gave him the Venom symbiote. It's like, whoa, 1, 2.
it's always been like Flash Thompson always went off. I think he went off to Vietnam in the 60s.
Mhm,
So they always kept him, you know, actually they forgot like he was in the military for long periods of time. Like
mhm.
during the Michelini Larson run, I completely forgot that he was even in the military. But
Right.
then he goes and he gets his leg shot blown off by IUD. I don't know what it's called. Ugh,
Yeah.
military people gonna hate me. Let me not even
Right.
try to say the IUD can be
Right. Right.
something
Right.
women. Is that what women use to stop pregnancy?
IUD, I believe.
Yeah,
I think
let
we're
me
wrong
not.
on both of
Is
them,
it
but
IMD? No, that's Internet
it's
Movie
a mine.
Database.
Yeah.
Oh
IMDb.
my God. No, no research. Cut this. This is embarrassing. My brother served in the Air Force. I'm like shitting on like because I don't know this stuff. It's the worst.
Wow.
So
I
anyway,
know.
yeah, he loses legs, and I guess the Middle East. So, but he's I guess such a good soldier they decided to. I guess they at this point they'd captured the Venom costume because Scorpion had wart when I guess
Mhm.
Scorpion had cancer. Scorpion was oh no, Eddie Brock had cancer, so he auctioned off the costume. Scorpion won it. Made Scorpion Venom for a while, which sucks because Scorpion's kind of also on his own.
Right. Right. Right.
Scorpion is a totally underutilized Marvel Spider-Man villain. Like I've always liked the Scorpion because he's stronger than Spider-Man,
Mhm.
and the way like when you and I came in the comics, McFarlane and Larson drew Scorpion so cool. And then in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, you get this incredible actor to play Mac Gargan, Scorpion.
Right. Right.
It's,
Right.
it's the guy from Better Call Saul. I forget the actor's name. He's phenomenal. He's going to be such a badass Scorpion. And then like 3 movies later, we still haven't seen him.
Was he? Well, that's right. Yeah, because he passes the Michael Keaton character. He passes Vulture, right, in jail at
Yeah,
the
he's in
end of that.
jail. Well, he's the one. I guess he's doing a maybe an arms deal or something on the ferry, and Spider-Man stops it from going down, and that's why he ends up in jail. Spider-Man
So
puts
he
him in
right
jail.
there you go. So I hate Spider-Man. Okay.
I hate Spider-Man.
Mhm. So what we need
So
we
anyway, to spiral back, he gets the Venom costume, and he can utilize like it comes out of a tube or something. Like, let me put it on, let me take it off, and it's a good book. Is that Remender and Tony Moore?
Yeah, I think that's I don't know. I'd rather someone else get another bit of money. So for example, this has a clip art that looks like a Tony Moore drawing, right? So I just would rather them pay an extra person to draw that. That does seem like it was pulled, or maybe
Is that?
Stegman.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks a little Stegmanish.
Yeah, it just and then so who was he also like Venom? Was he also like the Venom like Space Knight as well? Was that
Do
was
you
that
still have
Flash
the
as well?
costume for Space Knight? I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
I
want to
read it.
reread that. I did like that. But there was a couple different people that wrote this. So Remender, and then Cullen Bunn. So kind of all the Agent Venom. I think there is a trade which has everything. All of them are pretty solid. Then they of course has to revert that back, and I think he might still have it now somehow. I don't know. This is again. I don't have a MonsterVerse Kong because there's a couple of places that have. I prefer this would be the same scale as uh, the NECA Godzillas I have downstairs.
Okay.
I have like 14 of them or something. So I need to get in. I have a classic Kong, which NECA put out, which was first movie Kong. Then I had someone else made it might have been SH Figure Arts made a different Kong that has slightly different scale, but has the Fay Ray like really small, like this big. Um, so that's really fun. I have that too, but I don't have and this has a two heads. This I think is kind of weird too. So this I guess is in conjunction with the Justice League versus Kong. $70 has two different Batmans, has a Batman and then a Batman mini.
I hope
So
this
he
toy's
can
like hella heavy. It looks heavy. His when he did the Universal King Kong before, that was real heavy, wasn't it? That was actually
Yeah,
Actually went up in value because King Kong came back and that was like the only toy available for a while.
right, right, right. Yeah, I'd have to. We should maybe do like what we think is like through the years, the different things. I feel like he had like a horror line. He had a lot of. Then he did movie maniacs, but he had like a line where he just created like a scary thing, him and
Yeah,
Capullo or whatever. So there were some pretty interesting concepts that never happened. That's when you should have started the Page Punchers thing, then, and just do an issue. I mean, the first so many Todd toys, which was the first toys, they came with not great Bo Smith stories and Brad Gorby art. Is that
Brad
right?
Gorby. Yeah, one was John Cleary. One was I think Marat Michaels drew one. I think he drew the Overkill one, which Liefeld co-owns Overkill.
Overt Kill.
Overt Kill. That's right.
So
Ugh.
Overkill was in the video, right? The Stanley
Correct.
video,
The Stanley
where they
video.
let's create a character, and they did. They co-created a character, but then
Right. Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld.
someone else has Overkill.
Overkill. I don't know. Could it be a game? Could it be something? Is it a word that maybe you can't really trademark? I don't know.
Yeah. So then they put out. They changed it, I guess, in continuity whenever it came out. Who drew it in the book? Was that like when it went to like Tony Daniel,
What do
or
you
was
mean?
that it? Didn't wasn't overt kill in regular Spawn?
Yeah, he was like issue 6, totally drawn by Todd McFarlane.
Okay. Was he in it again? But was he called Overkill or Overkill in
I
that?
think by that point they called him Overt Kill. I think he dedicated the issue to Stan Lee. He used them first, and then Liefeld used them in like Youngblood number 8, Team Youngblood number something. So
And
then
they
Liefeld drew him
never.
second, and Chap Yap drew him third. And then since then, I think he shows up in Supreme in the teens when Cedric Nacone was drawing it,
Oh
but
well.
he's mostly been kind of a regular in Spawn.
Right.
But
Right.
Liefeld has the right to use him whenever he wants. So, he might show up in the next Youngblood series. Who knows?
Isn't there a character now? Was it Blood? Isn't he called something else now? Or
Tremor.
Tremor?
Tremor. Yeah, he was Blood in Image Zero. Image Zero,
Right.
each image creator had to do a short story. McFarlane cheaped out and gave us 4 pinups inked by 4 different people. But one of them he had a character called Blood, who then he changed to Tremor. And I think we got a Tremor toy before we ever saw Tremor in the comic. Tremor was in
Okay.
what? He was in the first wave of McFarlane toys, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Or the second, he was
I
in the
had it.
second wave. He was in the second wave, but he didn't show up in the comic till 25, which was drawn by Mark Silvestri.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that was the first Tremor in the comic.
Really?
Yeah,
I'll put it
and
up.
his next couple appearances were in Brigade. I think Liefeld briefly used him in Brigade, but he made Brigade kind of like he wanted to have a character from every studio. So it was like Brigade with Shadowhawk, Supreme, Vanguard, Tremor. You
Oh
know,
wow. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I ever read that stuff. So
no,
nah, gotta fill it in. I gotta have a brigade reread. We should do an extreme reread. We need because I remember really liking New Men and then it
Newman,
went. New Men has two different versions, right? Because then it went to like at the end it went to like Chris Sprouse.
dude. It starts off Jeff Metsuda, which is good. It's all good stuff. It's fun. It's Liefeld doing kind of like a young X-Men meets New Mutants type of book. They spring out of Extreme Prejudice. They're really important in Extreme Sacrifice, but then they become like New Force. But when they come back to Newman, that's when right Chris Sprouse takes over, and
And then
it's really good. It changes the whole book changes the whole feeling of the book changes post
mhm.
when they come back. And it's really good. In fact, Liefeld said to Eric Stevenson, who wrote the whole series, he's like, "Yeah, if you ever want to come back and finish that story, you're welcome to, because it's really good." But I also think that Alan Moore has a pitch for Newman where he combines them with the I guess in Judgment Day he creates a team called the Conquerors of the Uncanny, which is kind of like a Challengers of the Unknown style book where they actually combined. But I don't know. I think it's a project pitch and that's it. So we'll see. We'll see if anything comes of that. I think Liefeld recently was rereading his Alan Moore Supremes. He's like, these are better than I remember.
yeah, I hope with once the publishing starts to happen with the Youngblood stuff, then it'll start to expand out. And if they do trades of anything, it would be cool if they can maybe hopefully have some money to just throw, maybe 10 pages. Maybe Eric Stevens could do like a 10 page, 12 page, whatever, like try to make like a cap on certain things. But certain
Right,
things
right.
just based on where the marketplace was, what was at the time, things couldn't complete, just wouldn't can't complete. So it would be nice if that happened. That happens every once in a while where someone will put out a book and then they'll have like an unfinished story and just, that goes in there. Wasn't the Foot Soldiers trade? Doesn't that have like its own new story in that, if I'm not
Yeah, it
mistaken?
does. The Foot Soldiers. There's three Foot Soldiers traits. Um, the second two, the third one picks up a lot of uncompleted stuff. Um, but he released he through Image he re-released the first trade in color. So he was supposed to go back and do the next two trades in color, but it just I think the second one's sitting in Image, just not published.
Yeah. Well, again, hopefully that can happen for sure. Well, then maybe because he retains it, maybe he's able to do a that's Jim Kruger's book. Maybe he's able to do like a Kickstarter.
Yeah, we'll
That's kind of where
interview.
everything is
We
in.
are going to interview Jim Kruger. He gave me an open invitation to interview him. So um I was talking to him about Supreme, and him and Alex Ross had a
Shocker.
Supreme series.
You
I
were
know,
talking to someone about Supreme, Rob?
I know,
Is
I
that
know.
a thing? So you have a what do you have? Instagram, or what do you have? You have a Twitter for Supreme now?
Yeah, for Supreme. Yeah, what had happened was I wanted to pitch Liefeld on a Supreme book at one point. So I'm like, well, nobody has access to these old books. So what I went ahead and did was I went and scanned mine and decided to make kind of a Twitter to kind of catch people up because some of those books are really hard to find. Some are easy to find. You can put together half of the Supreme collection very easily.
Mhm.
But so what happened was I did pitch to Liefeld, and he's like, I like this. And then that's when he found out he kind of had didn't have the rights anymore. So that kind of went away. But I had a friend um, who was interested in doing it as a fan comic. So I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
well, before I do this as a fan comic, let me put up the comic online. Since Liefeld doesn't own the rights, I'll put it up day by day, page by page, and we'll talk about it. And I'll do every issue of Supreme. And I always hit up the artist or the writers of the book, and a lot of people give comments or I remember this page, or you see that guy there, that's Norm Ratman. You see this like Cedric,
Oh,
like
I see.
people have been very forward with giving a little bit of information, and I even at one point I think for episode like 1,000, which is crazy. I'm up to 1,200 now, and Liefeld came in and said, "Here's why I did Supreme." Like I kind of asked him like what his opinions were, how did he create Supreme or whatever, like where was he at when he decided to do that. So it's been a fun project, But now that Liefeld has the rights back, I'm still doing it. But if he asks me to stop doing it, I'll take it all down in a heartbeat
Right.
because I don't know if he's gonna try to make Supreme trades or hardcovers. You know?
Yeah, but I don't think it's people are going in. I don't know. I feel like I don't understand Twitter. I don't want more social media. Like I feel like I spend I might actually there was an app I know I can get which I can like limit my apps per day or something. I might have to do that because my it doesn't I
Yeah.
don't know. But I every time I think I try to go on X, remember you if you don't have X or Twitter or whatever, you can only look at it. You can look at like two posts and then it kicks you out and it makes you like log in.
Uh,
So I think if I ever looked at any you sent me something recently and I could see a bit of it and then I tried to look at one more and it's like log in. It just doesn't let you. Same thing with Facebook. Log in, and I bail, you know.
yeah. I,
But
I don't have TikTok, so it's
but
always like get the app,
yeah.
get the app. I'm like I don't want the app. I don't want TikTok. You know?
But are you able to basically go backwards? Like I can go to post one and go through a
Yeah,
thousand
you could
that way?
start right at post one.
Okay.
In fact, what I did with Supreme One, I started to break it down panel by panel,
Mm,
which was a
okay.
lot of work. But you were a little inspiring in that because I think you were doing maybe you were doing Marvel stamps at the time, like your idiosyncratic pulp. Uh,
Dude, that Marvel stance was a bitch. That
that
was a
was fun.
bitch.
Or you wanted to do every Marvel Universe character in order of their Marvel Universe appearance, and that was a
Yeah.
heck of an endeavor. But you could see the love that you had for doing it. You were having fun,
Yeah.
and I
I was
wanted
trying to do the Marvel Universe, but I would Marvel Universe, G.I. Joe Order of Battle, um, Transformers Universe. I was and then like the handbooks, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s handbooks. But that just was a lot. And then I was doing the
yeah, you're
hostess
doing the
ones.
hostess ads, right? See,
Uh,
that's all fun. And the reason I wanted
mm,
to do Supreme was like, so if I did do the fan online comic, then people would at least understand what I'm referencing or the stories I'm trying to build to, or
right.
like for instance, like John Byrne did his X-Men Elsewhen, right? When
I think
else?
that's what
What's
it's
it
called.
called?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Elsewhere.
So
Yeah.
it's basically what he would do with X-Men, and it's free. You can get it online. Liefeld had stated that he was thinking about doing a Cable Deadpool story online for free. So I'm like, well, if he's going to do Cable, then I could do Supreme.
Yeah, what are the rules? You just you can't monetize it. You
I
can't
can't
have
I
a
can't monetize it. Yeah, it's not.
right. Is
And
that how
even
those
about
fan films work? Like like Batman Dead End, and we talked about that maybe doing like a fan film list. Go watch this, go watch it. Because there are some really good fan films, Star Wars, DC, Marvel.
yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, as long as you're not monetizing it, I don't think most people have a problem. We would go down a well, people were selling them. You went down to SPX, a lot of people were selling just indie comics, Batman comics, whatever.
Hmm.
Infamously, Michel Fife doing the Death Squad, Suicide
Right,
Squad,
right, right.
or Death Zone, Suicide Squad.
I still
Uh,
have the SBX or the Cooper Skeeber book, which
Cooper
was
Skeever,
yeah,
phenomenal. That had
I
the
should sell that.
infamous James Kolchaka Hulk story,
Hmm. Yep.
and a really good Peter Parker one. There was another one called Marvel Gangbang that I think had a Tom Scioli story in it that was really good. It was like Tom Scioli doing Eternals, but he was doing it straight. He wasn't doing like a parody like the other books were.
Right, right,
It's
right.
good.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's kind of a preview for our deep dive this week. So, well, that was it, the news for me. What else did you want to add on? I can
A couple of things,
plop it in.
because I listen to a lot of interviews and stuff, and I don't know if this. I guess this was announced that Charles Soule and Steve McNiven they're doing a Daredevil miniseries. I think called Cold Day in Hell.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's set in the future. It's like a kind of a Dark Knight take on Daredevil,
An old man Daredevil.
old man Daredevil,
Oh shit.
which sounds really exciting. And then Charles Soule's like, "Oh yes, these pages are like they're like 16 panel grids," and I'm like, "Oh, I kind of don't want to see that. I kind of want to see one panel pages." I don't know if
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't know, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be a bunch of small panels, and then maybe the splash page of Daredevil jump in. It might it might look like Dark Knight or Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman had a lot of pages that were
Yeah, yeah, and that
like
apparently
that.
wasn't Scott Snyder's choice because he was on an interview this week. He was saying that he gets it back. He's like, oh, okay, like, or so he figured it needed more information, is the way he described it. That like basically he put stuff down, but Nick Dragata felt it needed more information, so he added a panel up or over here or a glance or a weapon or something. So it's like, you can't. What are you going to say? Oh no, I don't want that. You know what I mean? I'm sure every time he gets a Dragata page, it's going to be like, holy crap. So
Yeah, and you either embrace it or you cause a rift. I don't know.
well, it depends on the style. Snyder did do a similar thing with Capullo, and they did not get along. That was Capullo was putting
At
stuff back
first,
first. Yeah. So they had to figure the rhythm out. So that's pretty cool. The difference is I know Dragata lives, he said across the sound. They live in Portland. I don't know. I guess is there a body of water there? Sounds like it's in England, across the sound. That's what he said.
The Portland Sound.
I don't know what he was talking about, but he lives up there. A lot of people, a lot of the artists and writers, and Rucka, I think Rucka Brubaker, if they all live up
Bendis,
there.
Valentino,
Bendis.
I think. Stevenson,
Sheesh.
maybe.
But we don't know with McNiven on this. I think we had a previous episode we spoke about McNiven getting influenced by this. I don't even know who would be his first influence, which was what was his book in CrossGen that he started?
Meridian.
Meridian.
And he took over after Joshua Middleton.
Right. So he was, and what's interesting, and then he came over and did FF. And that was the replacement FF. Does that sound right?
That was the Robert Aguilera.
Roberto Agor's Sarkasa.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, the Riverdale guy. But before he did Riverdale, he did a lot of comics. Yeah, he did the FF book that was supposed to replace Wade and Ringo's run. It's and just fandom was like backlashed against that because we were really enjoying Wade Ringo's run.
Right, right.
And like Ringo's such a nice guy, you don't want to see him ever lose a job. But they did publish that book, and it's really good.
Yeah, it
It's
was
still a good
Marvel
FF
Knights,
book.
I think. It was Marvel Knights
Marvel Knights 4.
FF. Right. 4.
Um, a little bit of note: one issue had the Jersey Devil, local famed
Tony
New Jersey.
DiGirolamo?
No, not
Oh,
that, not the Jersey
not the
Devil comic.
creator of Jersey Devil comic?
No bullhorns, no bullhorns.
Hmm. Tony D, baby. South Jersey legend.
We brought him up a couple
Tony
times.
D. Yeah. He
He's
goes to cons and then he has a bullhorn and everyone's like, "Oh, he's a really nice guy." And then he does the bullhorn and people are like, "I don't like the bullhorn. We're not a big fan of the bullhorn." The organizer's like, "Can you not do the bullhorn?" But hey man, he still had it. He was at a con a little while ago. But no, so you're saying that they had a Jersey Devil plot?
yeah, there was an issue. I think they fight the Jersey Devil or they try to capture him. I don't know.
I've never read that. I
It's
don't know
been
because I was against that, like you said. We were like, I don't know.
yeah, but
I want Wade Ringo.
I did. I think I did buy them. At least I bought the McNiven issues. And then I think not long after he left the book, did it stop selling, and then they just dropped it, which
Right,
is
right,
fine.
right.
Um,
But I can't figure out like so what where I was going with that. Spiraling back.
yeah,
Um,
spiral back.
the where I was going with that is that I can't tell you who he was like influenced by and then turned into this. So but you after Civil War he did on like I guess he did some stuff and then he did Death of Wolverine, but Death of Wolverine was very, very, very much influenced. He read a lot of BWS,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah, it
Barry
was
Windsor
a
Smith.
lot of Barry Windsor Smith, and it looks good.
He,
I think he had to change his style after his colorist Martin Hollowell left him.
okay,
I think I noticed that when he did Nemesis after Civil War with Mark Miller,
right, right, right. That's right.
he
Yeah.
was experimenting with a thinner line. It's all about experiment. These I always give these artists a little leeway. Just but give us what we want. I don't mind experimentation, but at the same time, like I know artists sometimes complain like, oh, fans complain that I like your older style better, and they're like, we don't. We're
Mhm.
we're trying to grow as an artist. Like what you like is what we do wrong, and I'm like, yeah,
Right, right,
we
right.
do. It's
Well,
called a style.
yeah.
If
I
you
mean, I
get
would say. Go
if
ahead.
you
I'm sorry.
get too good sometimes, you're a better artist, true, but you're not as stylistic, and maybe that's what we really like stylized. Listen, John Buscema, people say he's the best comic artist ever, but to our generation, yeah, he's great, he's perfect, but sometimes he can come off a little boring.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know, you read Conan, it's every panel is perfect, everything looks phenomenal.
yeah. I would. I've gone in between BWS, Gil Kane, and
Yes,
Buscema back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Or you can read the Roberto Delator, and that is just all of them together. The first Conan Titan run is so crazy.
right.
Like you read it and you're like, what am I reading? Because Starkings does the lettering, or he has. I think he might have designed the lettering, and he has one of the people in Comicraft doing it. So it's very Joe Rosen 70s. The titles are big. I think I've shown you some before. And it's like, all right, cool. So like it feels very, very much in that vein, period. They should legacy number it. Maybe they will eventually. That,
Maybe.
you know, uh
But Buscema wouldn't. We will never throw shade at Buscema. But like he did a pretty good FF run, but it was like after Kirby.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Like
His
before. Wait, I
Avengers
mean,
run's great. His Avengers runs and his Thor run is great. Like
yes, they're
that's
all
where he was
good.
able to grow. Everyone says the Silver Surfers are uh the best. The thing
His
that
Silver Surfer graphic novel is great, but then
yeah,
like also you got a Kirby graphic novel and you got Mobius Silver Surfer. It's
right.
like yeah, these stylized guys just. I have an eye for the style, I guess. I mean, we came into comics in the '90s and late '80s.
Yeah.
We came
I
in
mean
with the McFarlanes, the Larsons, the Burns.
I got a Joe Mad up. Well, I'm wearing a
Joe,
Cockrum, but there's a Joe Mad up here. My cup, I didn't even do this on purpose, seriously. That's a John Byrne, aforementioned John Byrne, Wolverine cup, so pretty fun stuff. But I was saying, I don't know what McNiven we're going to get here because I want to say when he was still coming out of the BWS when he did, it was like Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters. He did like the Alpha and did a lot of the covers, and that was great. That was a couple years ago. I think that was Charles Soule as well, and that was I'm trying to think who colored that. I don't remember, but I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. But that felt a little BWS, but was space. So
we could get a BWS style Daredevil. We always think about the Daredevil Black Widow cover by Barry Windsor Smith. That's a beautiful cover. Insert here. Um, and if you can find it, you ever see the original art to it? He's got like a little hedgehog above him. Like it's cut off for the real cover,
hmm.
but the original art has like the buildings are a little taller, and
Oh really?
it's pretty funny. If I find it, I'll send it to you. And if you
I'll take
check,
your
and
for
there's
it.
an, and you know what, this is me just bouncing all over the place. This is called the weave.
That's
Trump
right.
made it famous, the weave.
Here it is.
Inside image, there's a Bloodstrike ad where Dan Fraga just totally homages that Daredevil Black Widow cover.
Uh,
It's really, I mean, he gives credit. It says after
inside
BWS.
image.
Inside
Uh,
Black with Stars. Is that BWS? Black with Stars?
yeah.
That's what pencilers put in for inkers or colorists to throw in a field, like a
Right,
star
right, right.
field.
Right, right, right.
But you know what? McNiven could just go and do a Frank Miller thing. Like if you're doing a Daredevil book, why wouldn't you look at Miller? Why don't you look at Jansen? Why wouldn't you look at Mazzucchelli? You know?
So he did Nemesis. So that means he has Netflix money. The majority of the people that got
No,
the
no, he
no.
doesn't have Netflix money. Netflix, I mean, they might own him eventually. Let me think about this. Because Warner Brothers bought the rights to the movie. But you know what? Yeah, you're right. Netflix does own the rights to Nemesis, but they don't have the movie rights back yet. The
Hmm.
only carve out for the Miller World deals is Kick-Ass and Kingsman. So if Miller ever gets the rights back to them, him and Matthew Vaughn co-owning Kingsman, they will not go to Netflix, but Nemesis will.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so he's got $1 million in Netflix money.
Yeah. So so basically, Mark, to explain that further, Mark Millar sold all of his creator-owned work to Netflix, and
17 separate properties.
everyone that his collaborators got a million apiece somewhere,
The
something like
rumor
that, we
is,
think.
Miller, like, let's say he made, the rumor is he made 34 million, 17 properties. So you got 2 million for each property. So Miller takes $1 million, gives $1 million to the artist. So someone like Lino Francis Yu did both Superior and Super Crooks, so he gets 2 million. Duncan Fegredo did MPH, 1 million.
Yeah.
Nemesis, 1 million, for the artist.
But
Uh, uh,
every single one of his artists basically almost stopped working. And listen, you get a million, 2 million. Like Luna Francis, there's interviews. I'm not making this up. He's just doing covers.
yeah,
It's going to take something special for him to do an interior. And listen, whatever. You know what I mean? That's a lottery. That's a lottery ticket. And that was when all the properties meant X, and maybe they're worth it, or maybe they're not. Maybe it doesn't happen. I think the big deal this week, also J.J. Abrams, his Warner Brothers deal ended,
again,
and it ended again, and the rumors are basically that's it for the deals. No more person deals, because some things just never happen. So I don't know how much they fulfill, but there was a couple deals that like these super deals, like the Benioff and Weiss deals. That
yeah.
was a big Netflix deal that made like one show. They say that he was doing Cape Crusader. That was one of his projects, and I was like, that was kind of going to get done. He's not the linchpin of that. There was, you got Matt Reeves linchpin, and then you have Brubaker as the creative. So that's barely J.J. Abrams. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
equate that as that. So that's just like an associate producer.
Fine.
But
I feel like J.J. Abrams was coming in with an angle of making stuff really different,
mhm,
and James Gunn is coming in with an angle of let's give these people the comics in film, change it
right.
slightly, but fans want their comic books in film,
Mhm,
and it seems to work better that way when other people come to see these movies. Like if the more closer it is to the comic, I think the more non-fans even appreciate it. Like they don't
right.
know what they're getting, but when you're sticking true to the source, there's more heart there, and it's easier to I guess take in everything and appreciate it and understand it. So I'm not sad to see J.J. Abrams go. I like J.J. Abrams a lot.
I don't know the last thing I've liked him doing. So I don't know.
The first Star Trek movies.
Rise of Skywalker. Oh
I
no,
like
that's
Rise
right.
of Skywalker, but I
No.
also really like. Oh wait a minute, no, I don't like Rise of Skywalker. I like
Uh,
the first one, Force Awakens.
of
I
course,
like
wait.
I like the Force Awakens a lot. Rise of Skywalker, I've only seen it once.
You you should watch the edit that I have. I have it in the hard drive. You should watch that edit.
That doesn't sound
Uh,
legal, Mark.
it's it's a fan edit. It's a fan edit, and it's on the
Oh,
high
it's a fan edit,
seas. It's a
so they're
fan
not
edit.
so they're not making money, so it's fine.
Correct. Yeah, there's a fan edit of Rise of Skywalker where certain things are placed in different areas. It was in one of the scripts where she says where she hears all the people, and
And
she
they actually,
says we're all the Jedi. They computer generate. They take clips, and they all make them Force Ghosts right next to her, and it's incredible. I think I sent the scene to the group. It's
Did
incredible.
did you cry?
Yes,
Then it
yes,
must be a good scene.
yeah. It's really. I think all the different revisions they did in it, they do something at the end where she doesn't retire, say, "Hey, I'm Ray Skywalker" to some lady walking by. She buries the lights. She buries one of the lightsabers there, does a little ski thing down or whatever, and then she leaves. And you know the chess scene where Chewie's playing chess with Finn and Poe?
Yes.
That scene's right there. So they're basically having it. They're they're going on adventures now. There's no like everything's done, which is cool.
That is cool. That is cool.
That's great. So I'm like, what is this? Oh, like because and then they literally animate that they have the twin sons. Then they animate that someone special effects animated a Falcon leaving the planet. Okay,
Easy to
credits,
do.
credits. So, but yeah, those are the two things that are, and there's little bits and pieces of it that are there. I think the kiss is still in there. I don't know if I need that, but they do. But that having all the Force Ghosts there is pretty powerful. It was really good, and I thought that in the movies too. When I heard the voices, I'm like, oh crap. I had a weird experience with Rise of Skywalker because I waited. Came out right near Christmas, isn't that right? That sound right?
Yes.
The first time I saw it, I saw it in a 40X alone on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something like that up in Warrington. So I drove an hour and a half, an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Sometimes with traffic, it's an hour and a half. It's probably no traffic then. But the 40X, it wasn't very comfortable because it rained a lot in the movie. So it's like raining. And then at one point it snowed. So the thing literally made snow. So I was like, this is crazy. So, but it was me and like three other dudes. I think a couple
And when she
times.
buries that lightsaber in the sand, you just spit and sand at you.
Every time Yoda shows up, I think even no matter what. Apparently, when Yoda showed up in Last Jedi, I gasped like loud, like uncomfortably loud. My kids told me that. I was like, like, and then I just started
Yeah,
crying
that was a good shock. That was
because
a good
because
shocking
they went
scene.
behind them. The camera went behind, and you're like, am I? Because you're feeling like it's going to happen like that. You're feeling something. We're doing something here, and then that happened. Then it's like, holy crap! That did that right, and it was
Yeah.
practical, and it was Frank Oz. So anyway, that's 6 or 7 rabbit holes. Go ahead. Is that
All
it?
right.
Any more news? Are we shutting it down?
Uh, oh, one other thing. So we've talked about Patton Oswalt's Minor Threats, his
Hmm.
World of Minor Threats books, and it looks like we're getting another one shot for Wingman.
Oh,
And
really?
I confused this for a second because I thought Wingman was the character from Black Hammer, but I guess it's a different Wingman. But you ready for this? It's by Matt Fraction and Mike Allred.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that.
No,
Hmm.
no, you hear that? You listen to a lot of interviews like I like to do, and people say this stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know that. Did not
Right,
know.
right, right. Yeah, I
And
don't think that they're doing a good job. I think even with some of the press releases, this was a little bit better than last week, where they barely have the artist, or they're kind of saying it's coming out. It's like,
right,
what's coming out? Is it a graphic novel? Is it a miniseries? Is it an ongoing series? So, yeah, I don't think they're doing a good job, but that's cool. Yeah, I think that whole
then that's
universe
why
is
we have to do
growing
it.
pretty well. I'm fine doing it. That sounds
I'm
good.
fine doing it. Listen, nobody knows. Listen, Mike Allred to us is still a big deal. We still love Mike Allred. He to us he's an A-lister. You know,
Yeah, Styles never going out of Styles. Mike Howard's is just consistent. I think the last thing he did major was as X-Ray Robot, which was great, but his art's ridiculously consistent. Kelly Jones, I went to my dad's earlier, and he gave me back like the Dracula. I gave him the Dracula paperback, the Dracula the Impaler, the Kelly Jones, and
did the
that's a full bleed.
did the J.H. Williams Dracula book come out?
I don't know.
I was supposed to
I
come out in October.
I don't think it came out. I don't know where it is. If it did come out, who was doing that?
Image.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Hmm.
He maybe just
Interesting.
wants to wait until the spring or something and place it
Nope.
away from Dracula because you had the Universal Monsters Dracula with Martin Simmons and James Tynion the fourth, and then you had this Dracula,
Listen, man,
and
you want that book out in October.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if you'd hold it. I don't know that it's just literally a whole graphic novel.
Yeah, I think it was. We'll say it was say 48 to 60 pages. I think it's a lot of. I think it's like picture. It's a pinup. with a either a line of dialogue or something to move the story along, like a
No,
blurb.
no, I don't want that. I
I
want
don't know, dude.
ECHOLANDS Volume 2, ECHOLANDS, the
Just true.
hardest comic to read ever. I have it on paper because you can't read it digitally because it's like all the pages are
It's really wide.
a double rectangle, or a
He,
double
he's
rectangle.
he's like, oh, you thought my stuff on Prometheus was crazy. Wait do you see this?
Let me do. It's basically two. How do I describe this?
It's a sideways printed comic, like the
Yeah,
widescreen
yeah,
comics that they did back in the '90s for the X-Men annuals that one year.
yeah. I'm literally gonna grab it. Hold on.
Okay, at least we know Mark's wearing pants, and that's what's important. We appreciate that. What else about Mark? You guys don't know. Oh,
So,
too late.
so prepared. All right.
He's
So
back.
yeah. So it's this. So this is a comic, right? So that's a comic like this,
Right. The
but
staples
it's
are
not.
at the top of the book, hence making it widescreen.
Right. So it's literally it's this big.
Yeah. Hard to read digitally, so it's best to buy it on paper. I guess the hardcover is the same way, right?
No, the hardcover is 300 size. So it's yeah. So it's this size,
Yeah,
right?
it's this.
That's right.
That
Uh,
300 hardcover is a great. I don't think it's expensive. I think it's a cheap hardcover.
I think it's
Frank
30 to
Miller's
50.
300.
I think it originally came out as $30, I believe. I think it was
Okay,
29.95. I think
it's
now it's probably
beautiful.
40, 50.
That is a beautiful widescreen hardcover.
Yeah, and I haven't read it. I got it. I was excited about it on my I bought the Ronin Rises hardcover that the Abrams Comics Press put out, and I don't know where I put it's somewhere in this room, I believe. I was
Okay,
going to read it like 2 weekends ago. I was like, let me sit and just read this thing, but that's printed like it's printed like this. It's printed, well, yeah, it's printed this size, but a
all
little bit
right,
bigger because most of that book is double spread splash pages for the most part. So
good.
it's one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two.
All right. So
Uh,
one last thing I want to cover before we wrap this up for the day is Fantagraphics is publishing Stan Lee's SNAFU comic. SNAFU was like their take on Mad Magazine. Atlas put it out in the 50s.
hmm,
3 issues. I think it's got some Jack Davis artwork. It's got some John and Mary Severin in it. Mad was a comic in which at the time Atlas went and did a crazy comic. And
hmm,
then when Mad became a magazine, a different company put out a crazy magazine. So Marvel tried to do SNAFU. I think like 3 issues came
hmm.
out. It was a failure. I think the only I think Cracked Magazine and Mad Magazine were the two that really stuck around the longest. Mad's still going, but it's not the same. So yeah, that's a hardcover that definitely interests me.
Yeah, the Fantagraphics they had they just put out did they put out the Marvel Spider-Man one? I feel like there's so many different licenses that they're having and some Atlas era stuff. Atlas era artist spotlights for
Yeah.
EC have been really cool. They've been really good. Or they've had EC volumes, which I've seen in person and they're really good. But this is interesting. I don't even, that's a mega, mega blind spot for me, but I can imagine this is pre Marvel Universe. This is
Correct. This is the 50s.
58, 58, 60. Um, so, so I imagine, and I need to have Keith on this guy who's Spinner Rack I think it's the Spinner Rack on Instagram. When I had him on a live stream, this is Awestruck Comics podcast, essentially, right? It was me
Gotcha.
talking to this guy, and he's in California. I liked his Instagram as he picks a lot of similar books, and we talked about, oh man, that went like 70 rabbit holes. But he was telling me the Marvel Universe may never have happened if it wasn't for Joe Manley dying, because Joe Manley was Stan Lee's guy. Right around this time, you can find a lot of books, a lot of his like Tales to Astonish. There's a lot of Joe Manley and all that stuff. And
Okay.
he had more of like an Al Feldstein artwork. It was very very much more a EC comic. So I imagine you got Joe Manley in there. You might have some Don Heck. You might have even Jack Kirby in there. I don't know. Have you
Right.
ever seen
Right.
him before?
What the Tales to
Snafu's.
Astonish pre-Marvel?
No, no,
Oh,
no. This
Snafu? Oh
Snafu.
no. I heard about it and then kind of forgot about it. And I'm
That's
kind of
right
a
up your
mad.
alley, man.
I
You're right.
know. I am a parody magazine expert.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and Snafu is
That's
one of those
fascinating.
I've never come across any, and I've
I
looked.
don't know about
I've
it.
I've had I've had everything. There's so many Mad comic book ripoffs right from the 50s. And as soon as Mad turned to a magazine, ton of magazine ripoffs in the 50s.
Mm.
And some of them are horrible. Some of them are great. Well, we should do a ripoff review one day of like Mad clones.
Yeah, and even well, Marvel even then they got into their own self parody with. Did they have a crazy book? Does that sound right?
Well, like I said,
comic
they
book,
had a crazy comic book in the
which is Marie
50s.
Seven. Or no, I'm sorry. This was I think this is in the '70s. I think they had a
In
crazy
the
comic book.
70s, they put out a crazy comic book, but that was just reprints of not brand X stories.
I see. Okay, which is Marie
And then,
Severin and a lot of like John
exactly,
Severin. Mhm.
yeah, John Severin, Mary Severin, Kirby liked doing parody stuff. Um, and then Marvel put out their official Crazy magazine, which lasted like 80 or 90 issues.
Mhm.
In fact, I talked to Bob McLeod about that. Inker Bob McLeod. Uh, he loved Mad Magazine. He really wanted to get in Mad Magazine, but they wouldn't hire him because they had their people and they very rarely let new people in.
Right, right.
Um, but he worked for Crazy, and he said that's some of his favorite work that he's done for Marvel, working for Crazy Magazine. But like a lot of people at Marvel, Byrne did some stuff, Larry Hama did stuff. The Crazy Magazine's full of all the Marvel people, and if they got bored, they would do stories in Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
That's a big blind spot for me. So yeah, we should do a deep dive where it's just nothing but parody comics. Go history of parody comics, part one, part two. We could probably
I
line up
was,
a lot of projects with
yeah,
that.
I was all pro parody before I ever bought like a serious superhero book on a regular basis.
Hmm.
In fact, the parodies taught me more about comics, parodies, and then What If taught me more about the Marvel comics than reading Marvel comics did.
Yeah, well, they're taking the baseline and they have to have certain nuance of like making fun of the baseline concepts. So learning them backwards,
Yes,
I learned everything through Peter Porker backwards
Peter Porker,
from
right back to it,
7-Eleven.
dude.
So, yep,
So, all right.
reverse weave.
Well, this is a good
Reverse
wrap
weave.
up. It's a good wrap up for this week. It's the news every
Doing it
Sunday
live.
or Monday. You come check us out. Allstruck Comics podcast we are Allstruck Comics on Facebook, Twitter,
Instagram
Instagram.
coming to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're figuring it out, trying to get the format a little bit better. We want you to. I think we want to basically have it as the YouTube main. So we're putting some extra effort into having some cool looking news. We're looking at stuff
Yeah,
for
Mark.
reference, and then
Mark's been doing a great job trying to get some images up, try to keep you guys entertained. It's easier to focus on an image than it is these mugs.
this guy. Yeah,
This
so I
mug
think that's
better
what we're
than
trying.
this mug.
Right, not better than John Byrne Cup. So
No, that's pretty
all
cool.
right, so I'm going to hit stop.
You
Right?
don't have to tell them that.
Oh, okay.
They don't need to know.
They don't need to know. All right. Well, I'm going to do that. All
Peace,
right. Hold on.
people.